Can I get a motion?
All motion?
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This time I'm going to open it up for public hearing for 2025 budget. If the public has any questions, now is the time to ask. No questions? We will close that hearing. Okay, approval of minutes from the August 13th, 2024 meeting. If somebody would like to make a motion to approve those, thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This brings us to claims and transfers.
From the general, $196,359.50.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
Motion.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
From water, $46,352.41.
Motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
From wastewater, $61,357.46.
Motion. Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Payroll, $50,225.81.
Motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the two claims, the first claim is from WTH Technology, invoice number 31739, the amount of $3,092.50.
Council, if there are no questions, looking for a motion for approval for invoice 31739 from WTH Technology.
What was that invoice for, just for clarification for the,
This is for the GIS software, it's just an annual renewal.
so I'll make a motion, we pay it.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
And Water Solutions Unlimited, invoice number 129206 for $4,083.06. This is just normal chemicals that's needed. Jason has approval up to $4,000 in the last couple months. It's kind of creeping over that $4,000 mark.
I will make a motion, we pay it.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's all.
Thank you, Kevin. Mr. Hall?
Got your packets, numbers are going up. We've got two officers that just recently graduated the police academy, so they're back on the road getting acquainted with how we do business. And they're full steam ahead. We've got an SRO that we just hired. She completes her training at the end of this month. And then she'll be placed at the school to start her school training next. And that's all I got, other than questions, if you have any.
They be working weekends.
Yes, once they get through their probationary period.
How long is their training at the school, Adam?
It all depends on her, it all depends on how quickly she grasps what we do over there for the security.
And who's conducting that training?
Me.
I don't want to speak out of line, but the first training is a 40-hour pre-basic.
40-hour free
Is
basic.
that the county, or am I wrong on that, is putting on?
Correct.
That's the first one.
Exactly.
Then she can be uniformed, and then after that, she'll do a week SRO school, usually at Perry Township. That'll really get her far advanced on how the schools work.
So she does a week with Perry as an SRO, and then she works with you for an undetermined amount of time until you clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think it's excellent.
It's nice to be full staffed again. We're working on it.
Anybody have any other questions? Thank you, sir. All right, Jason.
First item is the I-70 water main extension. The last meeting, I said we needed 2 easements before we could take that to bid. Just before the meeting, I spoke to WP Enterprises, and he is going to come in this week and sign one of those easements. So that happened 5 minutes before the meeting, so that was pretty nice to hear. We still have one outstanding easement in agreement that we will get that signed. That's kind of contingent on the Hampton Road up by the truck stop. So should be moving forward on that. As soon as I have those, I will give it to Eric, and Eric will assist us with getting it out to bid. So the next item is the Lever wastewater project. Eric can probably update you on that if you'd like to
Yeah,
ask him to do that.
yeah, here's kind of an update on those, on the 3 projects for the council. Following up on Jason's note on the I-70, the water supply main project across I-70, that is ready to bid. So once we get that last easements, then we can get it out to bid. It's actually, the timing is actually going to come out favorable because there is some tree clearing that we wouldn't have been able to do in the summer. So the timing's going to work out pretty well. If we bid it in October, get the contractor started, the tree clearing can proceed immediately. So that should work out. On the wastewater project, we had progress meeting number 8 on September 5th. The work completed for the town's portion of the project over the last month was replace some hydrants at the wastewater plant, installed overhead lights at the plant, and lighting around the structure we built over the clarifiers. The new blower was installed and started up. Lift station number 5 was installation was complete and startup was completed. And they also started the manhole lining within the town system. We'd already lined the base bid sewers. Now they're starting to line the manholes. On the Lever contract, the park entrance job site was backfilled, and they've been focusing on lift station number 6, and that work with the electrical work is now pretty well complete. Over the next month, they're continuing to wait on equipment at the plant, the town's wastewater plant. The main issue being the influence screen, mechanical bar screen. That should be within this next month, and they can start getting that put in. They'll finish up the manhole lining within the town. They'll prep the influence structure for the new screen and probably start installation on that on the town's portion of the project. On Lever's portion, the regional lift station that will pump flow to the town system. They'll be installing chemical feed lines that are being placed in there to reduce hydrogen sulfide gas. They'll be working on electrical power for the lift stations and the chemical feed pumps, and then install the pumps and piping for the campground lift station. We've submitted to Kelly pay application 6 for both contracts from Reynolds. They're both approved by us and recommended for payment. We do have some good news. As you know, with the alternate procurement process we utilized on this project, we had a BOT contractor, and they offered a guaranteed maximum price, and they had contingency funds in their bid. Well, not only have they not gotten into too much of the contingency funds, the work has proceeded well, so their costs have even been a little bit lower. So there is leftover money. The good thing is the state will allow us to use that to do additional work on the town. Targeted in the base bid, the most severe areas. Now we're kind of looking at other areas. We know Brad has had lines in. We're going to televise those and likely get those lined as well. So still working on the amounts of contingency, but we'll be able to report back exactly what those is and how the town's going to be able to utilize those funds. There's probably some hoops we'll have to jump through with the state to amend the preliminary engineer report to add these additional items as recommendations for the town systems, but I've been preliminarily told that it should be approvable by them to use those funds, so that's good. That's great. All work is on track to be completed by November on schedule. That's not including the extra work we might add. Obviously that may linger in depending on some of the work we do, because there is some work that's being considered adding that has some equipment procurement. So that's kind of an update on the wastewater.
It's good stuff.
While up here, you only touch on the stormwater, Jason.
Council, do either one of you have questions for Eric regarding what we just went over, or what you just went over?
Brandon, under the wastewater, there is that contingency contract that's being provided to us.
Yes, what that is an amendment to our contract to assist with any permitting or approvals through the state to allow the use of this contingency funds. And there may actually be some design where we'd have to give the contractor a drawing to replace the lift station or do a sewer extension. So it's strictly on an hourly basis. Your contingency funds can pay for it. So it's, since we don't know how much contingency money we'll use, it would just be on an hourly basis, and it would just be our assistance to the town in using those funds.
Is that the same one as our packet, Kelly?
Yes.
Okay. I saw that and I have no problem with it.
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion to approve this contract?
I will make a motion, we approve it.
Second?
Oh, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On the stormwater, the contractor did mobilize and get started. They've been at it a couple weeks. Most of the work they've been doing has been focused in the Stardust area. They have moved and are starting to do some work in town near Market Street. Their schedule they have provided shows them being complete by the end of October, which is within the schedule requirements we have in bid document. So right now they think they'll be able to hit the schedule and get everything done.
Anybody have any questions for Eric related to the stormwater?
We're good.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. All right, Jason.
Basketball court, I was hoping to have a report for you, but nothing. We're still waiting on the contractor. I inquired today and I did not get a response, so I'll let you know as soon as something happens. The Buckeye Power sales quote, at the last council meeting, the council asked that we inspect all of our generators and service our generators. After they inspected and serviced, it was determined that a repair was necessary. I communicated with Brandon shortly after that because they need to actually order the parts. There was a delay in receiving those parts, so we wanted to get that expedited. So I got the advance approval from Brandon on that. But, and this was for the generator at the light. So this is just it's pretty substantial expense to repair that, but that's what this was for.
But a necessity.
But a necessity, and we needed to get that part ordered. So it's not fixed yet, but it has been ordered. But this was just to get your approval. It says in there, I don't remember.
What was the question?
ETA?
2 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
4 weeks. This was probably 2 weeks ago that we made that decision, so I think we're just looking for formal approval to proceed with,
I'll make a motion to go ahead and proceed.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
the next item is water tower cleaning, and Eric, actually, we met with Eric and on last Friday. This wasn't what our topic discussion was, but we are looking at doing a water project here in the near future. But one of the items that we discussed was the need to have the water tower cleaned, especially the bottom of the tower. And I've been sitting on this for a couple of months because we weren't real sure what we were going to do with the water project. But after our meeting, Kelly was in that meeting as well, we determined that we think it makes sense to proceed with the cleaning of the water tower now and not include that in our project if we do proceed with a bigger water project. I did get 2 quotes, one from McGuire and the other is from Klaus Inspection Services. Richard went through both of these quotes. They're not necessarily apples to apples, but when we determine, or when we try to calculate the expense, we believe that Klaus Inspection Services at $8,500 will be the cheaper of the 2. The McGuire is $3,900, but that's for half a day's work. We know it's going to take substantially more than half a day's work, and the per day cost, or the per hour cost is $675 an hour. So we feel very confident that the Klaus Inspection Services quote is cheaper. With doing that, 1, we need to do it, but 2, if we do go in for a water project, we're going to have an inspection that we can use to go into the water project and have better information and maybe even benefit us with the bid process, really, according to Eric.
Yeah,
So,
if he's gonna go in there and clean, he can do some observations as far as where there might be corrosion, what type of coating or remediation might need to be done as part of that water project. Mick Klaus, he actually used to build tanks, so he's pretty knowledgeable about that, and he gives pretty good reports, and from those we can determine what a scope of work might need to be for a storage tank like that. So.
part of the bigger project is maybe a total painting of the tower. So that's kind of, this is an inspection, but it's also going to be cleaning it at the same time. So it's twofold for us. Richard's recommendation is if we're going to proceed with this, is that Klaus Inspection Services, who we would use. Yes.
Did, I cannot find McGuire's quote at all.
I don't
It's
think
not in the
we
packet.
didn't put that in. I've got that here if you'd like it.
Please. I mean, because the CIS quote says water inspection. That's it.
Washout inspection.
I'm sorry, washout inspection. With the rest.
I'm not familiar with Klaus. I think Eric has worked with them.
Yeah, I've not seen his proposal, but. Yeah.
Who's that?
I've not seen his proposal, Klaus. I know he does good work with inspections and cleanouts like that. He's actually located in Vigo County.
When was the last time that was inspected?
He said, Richard said the other day, do you remember?
Said what, the last time?
Yeah, did he say 4 years?
It's been, I think it was more than that, but I can't remember how many.
That's exactly what you got.
He said in that meeting, and I don't remember what he said now.
This is when they repaired some covers or something.
Yeah, we
They
did.
hang that on the side of the tank is when it's finished this time, so somebody else can remember it.
Well, Richard knew. Richard has that documentation. And,
We have it in our records.
yeah, and said it was I mean, he's the one that brought it up, it was time to do.
So is there a guide of how often it should be cleaned and inspected?
We typically refer to the engineers, they kind of have a,
I would say every 5 years that they should be inspected and cleaned.
It's due, because like I said, the last time we did it, I believe we did cover repairs and some other necessary repairs that we needed.
we did, that was within the last 3.5 years. that I've been here, but I know we've not
Done it full.
done this
Cleaned it.
since I've been here.
As far as coatings, it's usually 15 to 20 years is when you need to consider recoating inside and out. I think he said this one hasn't been recoated.
How old is this one?
Pushed 22 years, I think, that's what he said. Around 20.
I'm gonna look at that before I comment on this. And Eric, it's your recommendation that CIS, because you've worked with them in the past,
Yeah.
and you don't know anything about McGuire's.
We've worked with them, they've built tanks, we've designed, I can't say anything bad about them, I'm sure they could do the work as well. I do agree with Jason, I think it would probably take longer than the half day they quoted. But as far as cleaning and inspecting, a lot of my clients have used Klaus in the past.
So here is my genuine concern. You look at the CIS quote, as I verbally just stated, it says wash out, clean out, power wash, whatever, and then a list of total. Compared to the McGuire's detailed report quoting said, one day is this. Off of your recommendation, Eric, I would like to table this until next month. Go back to CIS, ask them for a detailed quote. I'm giving this guy a second chance based off your recommendation. That's the only reason I'm not asking council to make a motion to move forward.
I would concur, asking for a better detailed scope, and I'm sure.
Yeah, the washing is not a.
That's all it says, and then he gives his 8,000 and some change, whatever.
Yeah.
So council, I would like to table this until October's
I
meeting.
agree. Motion we table it for.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jason, you can have that back.
The next item is annexation, which I know we've had on the agenda for a while. I did have a conversation with a representative from Baker Tilly, which is a consultant that our redevelopment commission uses on quite a few issues. I just had a conversation with them about the fiscal plan that we're required to do, or a cost of service study for the annexation. It's substantially more lengthy than it was when I did one of these probably 15 years ago. I asked them to get me a quote on doing this cost of service study or fiscal plan, and that contract is in your packets, or no, you didn't find it
It's
in?
not it.
Okay,
It's not.
okay, you had it.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna get it.
Okay.
It didn't come.
Okay, well, they quoted $3,500 to do that, for that. Now, what they're going to do is, and I've already sent them all the different parcels that have agreed for voluntary annexation, so they know what parcels they're going to consider. And what they do is they take every aspect of annexation into consideration in preparing a report so that the council will have the information that you can make a good decision on the annexation.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it, but my thought is that you could approve it based upon my approval. That way we're not waiting another whole month to do this. I don't have any concern, I mean, I would make it.
Yeah, because I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
Pending your approval. Does council member want to make a motion for approval
I
pending?
motion we wait for approval until we get an okay from council.
You want it to go before council and that, Mr. Shackle?
Just Mr. Shagley.
Mr. Shackle. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And aye.
Sorry, just for the minutes, can you clarify that? So it's okay as long as Richard Shagley
Once
approves
it's
it?
approved by Richard Shagley, legal counsel, then
They can proceed, okay, so it doesn't have to come back to town council. Okay, thank you.
Next item is Hayman Road. I was hoping to have a survey and legal description for you. This is what we discussed at the last council meeting, or actually agreed to proceed with. I did talk to Greg Williams at ASA Surveying, and spoke with Eric Hayman about this. Eric's actually had conversations with Greg as well. So I feel like we're all on the same page, but before we can do it in ordinance where you're accepting it, we do have to have that legal description. So just waiting on that. So I will get that to you hopefully by the next council meeting. The next item is Monon Avenue. Brandon and I have spoken about this. We are looking at projects, additional projects to start on, specifically community crossings matching grant, similar to the project we did on Beagle Club Road and Bennington Way. So we've got two potential roads that we're gonna consider, with your blessing, we would consider, which would be Hayman Road, which, or whatever you're going to name it at some point. And the second is Monon Avenue, if you're familiar with Monon. If you're not, I would encourage you at some point to drive along Monon Avenue, which is off of Lafayette Street, just to the southeast of where we are. It's a dead-end road. It's in very, very, very bad shape. But my biggest concern is much of that road, or at least the actual asphalt, does not necessarily follow town property. It appears from aerials and it appears from just visual, looking at this road, that the road does not actually, the asphalt itself does not sit on the town's right of way. So there's two parts to it. One, if we're going to take this as a CCMG project, which would be my recommendation, and I think Brandon's in agreement with that as well, but we'll bring it to you now for consideration. Before we can go in for CCMG funding, we have to have part of our inventory. And I feel very confident that we would not be approved for CCMG funding the way it is now, because that road does not follow our right of way. So, did have the conversation with United Consulting, and they are here tonight, about what would need to be done to, one, survey the property, two, acquire the property for us to build a new road. The other part of this, it is my opinion that we would even redesign the road so where it comes off of Lafayette Street, it would actually be to the north of where it currently exists, or at least where the asphalt currently exists, move to the north so that it's a straight road back. So there's some engineering that would need to be done, some surveying that needs to be done, and there is a contract or a proposal in your packet as well for that, if we want to proceed. Now, I don't know whether we're going to get all of this done before the deadline to get it into our road inventory, which is December. So we might not make it in for a CCMG project for next year, for 2025, but we would definitely have to be ready for 2026 on Monon. But that would leave us the ability to do Hayman Road if we do obtain ownership of that, and I think we'll have that wrapped up before December. So it's kind of just bouncing these two back, if those are the two that the council does decide they want to do, and how we're going to go about doing those. But this just sets us up to go in for a CCMG project at some point on Monon Avenue. And again, we do have a proposal from United to, this is more of a study, is to survey it and start the process of getting it on our inventory.
How many houses does Monon serve?
I would say 10 probably. It's a dead end road. It is by far the worst street in town, but it's one of the least traveled.
No way to make it a through avenue?
My understanding is at one time, and I think this would be a great idea if I thought we could accomplish this. This runs right across, or I'm sorry, parallel to CSX rail line. So from
Perfect,
Lafayette
I'm
Street-
listening.
From Lafayette Street to where it becomes private property, where the old CSX railbed. Honestly, the perfect thing would be is if we could obtain the ownership of that CSX railbed and build a new road right down it. It'd be a straight road, it would be the perfect solution. I just know the history with CSX in obtaining that right of way is not gonna happen. So the other option is the existing road, upgrading it, if that's the road we decide to do. And maybe you guys have a different opinion. As far as condition and safety, it's got to be the worst road in town, worst street in town.
So, again, to the people in the audience, I would love to have this up here, and I promise you one day we will, and I'm not beating that dead horse. As we are growing, it is also our responsibility to maintain existing roads, right? That's just a small part of what we have to do. In my opinion, Monon in town limits is one of the worst streets, even though it's not highly traveled on currently, or might not ever be in the future after we're all long gone, but it is in desperate need of repairs. And more importantly, if we want to get this right, happened way before our time, the road needs to be in line with our boundaries.
So it's sounding to me like this is quite a ways off in the future at this point. And if we're gonna make that type of an investment on 10 homes versus Haman Road, that's going to be hopefully an immediate solution to maybe some development. I think it's something we may want to consider waiting maybe till next year.
Well, even if we approve United to move forward with, as they're calling it, their survey and design, nothing's gonna happen next year. This is just getting us moving in the right direction so that we know how much it's gonna cost, so then we can apply as needed. If we don't start the ball now and we push it, again, we push it back until next year, then something else could come up and this gets pushed back again. I would like to see council go ahead and make the motion for approval to get this ball moving in the right direction, even though it could be in calendar year 26 before it happens, or maybe even 27, I don't know.
So cost to get this ball rolling is gonna be how much for the survey? 30?
25 and 5.
Brandon United is here, and they could probably speak to this if they.
Would one of you want to say anything on your behalf?
Sure, I mean, as
Could you
part-
step up to
Sure.
the microphone, please?
My name is Tim Coombs, United Consulting. I'm a professional land surveyor, manager of the land survey department. Yeah, the survey is an initial survey where we go out and research all the properties and determine what the town does own and what they don't, and where the road is located relative to that. We record a survey and then be able to create legal descriptions and plat exhibits for what the town would need to acquire to get all that property. And then in the process there, our road designers would also come up with some exhibits of a plan for the improvements, and then come up with a construction cost estimate to go after that grant at some point.
So if we spent that money now, it's a forever survey, so that we.
Well, I think it'd be a good idea to, I mean, as far as importance of where the boundaries are.
Yeah, I think we need to establish
do
that description of it not being on our property and not being.
Well, if we're gonna use community crossing funds, you know, there's a situation, if we wait till next year, all of a sudden something's going down and it takes twice as long to get the survey, we missed the deadline to file for the community crossings, and all of a sudden we're delayed even further. And as you made reference to, unless something severely drastic happens, that survey is good really forever.
And it's really not the timing of the survey, it's really what land acquisition, when you're dealing with probably up to, we're thinking 4 property owners at this time.
And 4 doesn't seem like that much, but we've been trying to get 5 easements for 6 months. And this is just simply putting a pipe in their ground that doesn't affect them at all. And it's taken 6 months. So acquiring, I don't know who those 4 or 5 property owners are, but that could take a long time.
Jason, the lot right there at the southeast, that little lot, you and I I spoke about. Have you reached out to that property owner yet? Okay.
My recommendation would be that if we decide to go with straightening that road out, it makes a big jump. If we decide to straighten it out, I think it would be wise to consider purchasing the lot, rather than just easement, or right of way, I should say, through that lot. I suspect it's probably not that expensive of a lot, there is no home on it, it really does no use to anybody. So, but that's something we would figure out in this process, is whether we need right of way or actually just purchasing the whole lot.
Non-buildable lot?
My understanding there was a home there at one time, I don't know why it was removed, I don't know if it burned or torn down, but I was told there was a lot there at one time. Along this route, and really, if you have a chance to drive down there, you'll get a lot better idea of what we're talking about. There are 2 waterways down through there as well. As a matter of fact, when we first started talking about this, I got a call from somebody, a lady backed up, and she drove right down that. There's a bridge, or not even really a bridge, just a pipe, and drove right in and backed her car back straight up in the air. So there are potentially some safety issues there as well.
And it's narrow.
It's a one-way, it's basically a one-way street. My understanding that the council at one time considered obtaining the right-of-way from the railroad and wanted to make it a loop, rather than 2 ways on the railroad, but one way in and one way out. I don't know whatever happened to that, but I've just been told that. It is very narrow, and there might be some widening that we could do with this project as well. There's also the potential for curb sidewalk, storm drains through there as well. I don't know, once we get into the design of it, we can talk about that part of the project. It doesn't have to be just resurfacing.
Question for you, sir. Versus an all-in price, is there an option to go with an hourly, then not to exceed?
Yeah, I don't see that being an issue with our contract.
Council?
I think, again, the survey is a forever survey, it's worth the investment to have it at our ready when we're ready to move forward.
I agree.
Somebody then would like to make a
I
motion?
will make a motion, we go ahead and move forward with the survey.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Jason, anything else? No? Okay. Kelly?
Council has all the monthly reports in their packet. Everything is looking pretty good. I will make mention that next month we will probably do an additional appropriation, not for spending, but this is like what we did last year. We'll appropriate some money, extra money in there in order to be able to sweep some to the rainy day in 2025. So that process will probably start next month. I do want to make one other mention. As Brendan has alluded to in previous public meetings, we've applied to the Indiana Office of Technology for an in.gov subdomain. So EAS and Eric Kersey are working with the state to get this implemented. So what that means is currently our domain is cloverdalein.com, and we would be going to townofcloverdale.in.gov. So we would have a .gov email, and we would have extra protection afforded to us by the state. The old ones are still, we're still going to keep the old domains, and they're going to set it up so that if somebody does access the old domain, it will automatically redirect them to the new one. So we don't have to worry about that. The tentative completion date for this is September 24th.
That's awesome. Long time coming.
That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you. Jason, anything for old business? No? Okay. New business in the edit plan?
We're required by the state of Indiana to submit a plan to the county for our edit money. For the next 7 years, ours will continue to be spent on debt. This makes the payment of the 2017 lease rental revenue bond that the town currently has, and that finance Stardust Road. So this is just a letter that we would submit to the county saying for the next 7 years, we would use our edit funding to pay for this bond.
We just need a council approval on that, right? Okay. Council, would somebody like to make a motion for approval for the economic development income tax?
Motion, we approve it.
Okay, second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anything else?
That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Before I open it up to citizen comments, I'm going to make update on two things that I spoke about last meeting, and probably the meeting prior. A member of the Cloverdale Township Fire Department coming here, I think it was last meeting or 2 meetings ago. As of Friday, I am still working with an individual out of their Jacksonville office, just requesting a meeting at Town Hall with Jason, myself, and anybody else that wants to entertain it, so that they can put eyes on the sections of track that currently run through town that are no longer, in my opinion, active, but they're considered active in CSX world. So we're still fighting the fight, we're still going against that battle. It's gonna be a long haul, but we're not giving up. Update number one. Update number two, to the town residents, do not forget, the last Saturday in September, the 28th, is Cloverween at the high school parking lot. Kylie Way will be shut down. Small section, vendors, parade, 5K, whole bunch of stuff going on that day. If you have any questions, please reach out to the folks at Cloverdale Main Street. Again, that is September 28th. It's the last Saturday of this month. Okay. I'll open it up for public comments, questions, concerns. Yes, sir?
I would like to just revisit the last subject that was discussed in detail, and that is the road conditions. And the road conditions in several of the side roads, especially in Stardust Hills, are really getting into bad shape. You can't really drive them and miss all the chuck holes. And I think that needs to be addressed in this dry weather. And if we have any even temporary mix to put in some of these chuck holes, I think that would be less expensive to do at this time than buying tires and wheels.
Yeah. Chuck holes, you mean potholes?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Is there any way you can do me a favor and just get with Jason on if you know where these potholes are at?
I can photograph them.
Perfect. And just text it to him, be like, hey, this is at the intersection of A and B, right? So that we can get some mix down in the potholes. As you know, and everyone knows, there's several potholes that have been filled over town in the past couple weeks for a temporary solution until it can be permanently fixed. So if you've got concerning issues or areas, just get with Jason and we can see if we can get some mix in those for you, okay?
Okay.
Well, I think in Stardust, we've even got some of the old access holes that were cut in the asphalt. It's just filled in with gravel that need to be filled in.
And we've been talking about hitting those, the more permanent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
There were 15 of them.
Does anybody have anything else? No? Okay. This meeting is adjourned.
Not just the
So we don't forget about it. It's for our
All three of us know about it, one of us is gonna remember, and it's probably gonna be hard.
where is it? Oh, I get it.
And I had it wrote down.
starting.